You're watching the Hyperloops. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel to show your support. Thank you and enjoy the video.
Hey everybody, long time no see. We are back here for the Hyperloops 2020 podcast. You know, honest sarcastic, that's me. And we got NJ Cuenca here, baby. How you doing, NJ?
I'm alright. I've just finished moving. That's why I wanted to keep it real. My room is a disaster right now. It's not too bad. It was much worse at one point, but I've unpacked things and threw them on my couch. So we got a couch here, and I'm going to share this first to start off with. For those who are watching on YouTube, you get to see this picture of Phoenix, the god of deception, but he has the head of Grand Moff Tarkin. So if you're just listening to this, you might want to look it out because it's pretty sweet, and this was definitely done sober. So just want to throw that out there.
It was cut out in place with like a piece of tape. This was done.
Well,
sober.
that's part of the taste of art that you're going to see at some point in these podcasts.
That's like a boomer, like badly photocropped picture of like Tarkin. Like,
well, actually, this is from. Do you remember in the action figures? There'd be like you could cut out this card, right? Okay, so in when you get an action figure in a package in the old like Star Wars packages, when you cracked it open, most people discard the cardboard part, but they actually had this like little thing where you could like take scissors and it would be like a card and it would have everyone's stat, like their name, where they were from.
It's like a collectible card,
special abilities. Yeah, I mean it was obviously just like a piece of cardboard that was nonsense, but that's where I got the head.
Yeah. No, that's about as bad as my haircut. All right, like no. Yes, I got the afro.
Well, the '80s, the '80s are back. So
what
you got. I said the '80s are back.
Yeah. Well, so
you got like a weird mullet sort of thing going on.
It's more of an afro mohawk, but it's more because what happens is when shower gel blah blah blah, like it comes down and then like it looks solid in the front. But I'm gonna have to cut the back part once I go on interviews or something. But we're on Zoom; they can only see the front. They can't tell what's going on.
No, I saw. We already saw the back of your head.
Yeah, because I turned so you guys can see it.
Oh yeah, if you're doing a Zoom interview.
Yeah, Zoom is like da 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 da. They can't see that back there. It's like
fair enough.
And it's like, oh shit. All right, so as you guys can see on the screen, those listening in won't be able to see it, but we'll read it out. There's been some spoilers from the Players Committee. I honestly cannot remember the name of the set at all. I'm a terrible person, I know. I feel like it was Faithless something. I don't know. My bad. Don't hate me, bro.
we'll have the name of the set by the end of the podcast.
Really? You know the name of the set? You gonna go search it?
Well, I'm gonna ask people on Discord.
That's a fair enough question. All right, so starting off, we'll talk about the detector rules, which is after this card is activated, reveal a random card from an opponent's hand that is not detected. That card remains revealed until the end of the action phase. It says activation phase, but it should be action phase. So this is detect is the keyword you'll see on characters or potentially supports. And now detected cards in any player's hand that are revealed are considered to be detected. When the card is no longer in that player's hand or is no longer revealed, it stops being detected. So there's the minor FAQ stuff, and then we'll go over it. But the FAQ, what happens if I resolve a discard side against an opponent and some of the cards in their hand are detected? Detected cards are still considered to be part of the hand and are still eligible to be discarded by effects that discard cards from the hand. Use some way to choose the random cards to be discarded without losing track of which cards are detected. For example, use a die to determine the random cards. Next question. Can a detected card be played? Can it be used for the reroll dice action? Yes. Detected cards are still part of the player's hand. They are just revealed so that all players know what they are. Since they are part of the hand, they can be played by that player or discarded to reroll dice with the reroll dice action. For all purposes, they should be treated as still part of that player's hand. Last question. What if cards get revealed through another effect like probe or counterintelligence? The cards revealed by probe would cease to be detected upon completion of probe's effect, since they would not remain revealed afterwards. So like, that's essentially referring to like the end of the card text for probe and like counterintelligence, because they reveal their hand, you do whatever, and then their hand goes back. So pretty much they're not going to have anything to do with detected. But if you probe and hit a detected card, it'll stop being detected after, assumed it survived. Counterintelligence should do the same thing. So running those with the text are going to kind of just cause you issues. Any thoughts on the detect keyword, Micah?
I mean, it seems cool. I like it with the I don't know, we haven't talked specific. You didn't talk specifically about Jin, right? So
no, we haven't gone through any of that stuff yet.
Okay, well, I mean, it seems fine.
Yeah.
It's just like a way of getting more information, right?
Yeah,
like certain cards will play off of that, so you get payoffs for using having this extra information. Which I mean, I think it's like a good mechanic. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, it seems like a mechanic that's really not worth anything until we have something that does something busted, I guess as I'd say it. Like, activate peak is like, oh, whatever. And like, normally speaking, you're supposed to kind of just memorize the card anyways. When you counterintel or you probed or, any of those cards. I'm like remembering all of the villain red ones that are just like ridiculous. So like, it until we get to the next cards, realistically, this seems kind of like useless to me. Like, I like information, but and if as long as they don't put anything busted that like messes with the tech cards, you could put a ton of cards with the tech that were just like terrible, so you can get like information, right? And I think information is kind of sweet. So second,
I will say that it is a little bit of a tracking wise. It does seem a little bit weird.
Well, it's gonna stay revealed. It's not
yeah. Well, I know that, but still, like like on TCS, that's like. That feels real weird in TTS because you're holding your hand, right? So what are you gonna do? You're gonna have it like
you'll have a zone. You'll have like a zone probably to just put it in face up.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Think in Magic, weird. Right? How often did you play with a card face up in Magic?
Right, but I mean,
we did that in testing all the time, but we didn't do it in in tournament play. They didn't stay revealed.
Sure. Okay, so it's not really a question of like IRL. It's fine. Like, you just play with one card like face down in front of your hand, and then they can see it. But on TTS, like, it's hard to like have that card in front of you and then have it not randomly like jump into your hand.
I think like I don't know. As long as someone's not playing a bunch of supports with it, like top left, I mean like bottom left or bottom right should be like in theory be okay. I assume they'll have like a zone to put it in, so it'll still be like treated as your hand, but like let's say your hand is here, then maybe it'll be like here and be detected. So you have like two hands, the detected hand and like the non-detected hand.
We're actually going to talk about this later. Yeah. About the limitations of TTS. So
that's fair.
I'll make a note to mention that.
Yeah.
So we can keep going.
Yeah, going into the next spoiler card, or going to our first spoiler card, I guess, was so these were done by Entourage Gaming, by the way. They posted on the SW Destiny page. I'll send a link to it, if anything. But we have Jin Urso. She's 15-19, 13 health. Her die sides are 2 ranged, 3 ranged, 3 indirect, 2 disrupt, single resource, and a blank. She's a character with the subtypes of leader and spy. She has the keyword detect, and then an effect. Detected cards cannot be played by opponents. Power action. Discard a card from your hand to discard a detected card from an opponent's hand. Cuenca, go ahead. We now have a card that does something with detect.
Right, and I was saying that like with this card in particular, I like the flavor. I like the die seems like pretty good. It is expensive. But you have 3 damage sides, which are really nice, and that 2 disrupt. I really hate playing against 2 disrupt sides, so it probably makes it a good side. And 13 health. So I don't know. I think that she's definitely going to be worth trying, and I think that the ability to basically she essentially like makes you discard a card at random, right? Like, except that you get to keep it, so you can use it as a reroll. Um, but until they use their power action, right? So you're like, oh, okay, so I have to discard it first before they use their power action. So it's gonna create some interesting situations where you're like, okay, like, are you gonna discard a card from your hand and make me discard this card? Like, if it's really good, then probably, but if it's kind of like whatever, who cares?
I'd say to
But yeah,
go ahead. No, sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's like my first impressions of the card. Seems worth trying. Interesting design. I like it. I applaud I pour one out for the homies that made this card. So yeah.
Yeah. So I think my big thing is like it's gonna be based on kind of who she can fit for a partner, right? Because she's gonna have 11 points to work with. If she can get another character that has like feasible die sides, it's obviously gonna be like a support based one that also has detect. Then I think things start to get kind of scary because you could be you would be locking up 2 cards per round. Um, and like sure, you can pitch them to reroll, but like you got that hand, it has that one support. That support got detected. You feel blown out. That one die card got hit, and you're just like, this is rough. Or you're trying to play like 3 or 4 cards, and you have one reroll, and like just getting locked out of cards can feel bad, especially since it's random.
Right.
So in my mind, I view her like, all right, Vader from set 1 had the 2, had the 3, had the resource, had the 2 disrupt. So shield turned to 3 indirect. But instead of they get to choose which card to discard, like you're kind of locking one down, and then you can pitch one to make them lose it to kind of screw with rerolls if you want. I think it'll all boil down to how many cards we have with detect. If all the cards with detect are kind of expensive and kind of clunky, then it's like okay, she'll be fine. But I think that the detect mechanics, like whatever, her effect in general is really scary. Because I don't know, let's say you have her a character and a support that's kind of cheap and can detect. If you can lock down 3 cards, like I don't care if you get to reroll with them. Locking down 3 cards is kind of insane.
No, I agree.
Yeah, especially since the random choice can't pick the already detected card. The random choice is from the cards that are not detected.
Mm.
So like you're guaranteed to ding for each one, provided they don't just magically have no hand all of a sudden.
Yeah, and I could foresee that being something that they change.
Yeah.
Because then, like, you're right. Like, if they're locked down, like 2 is like already really annoying as someone who's played
Dooku, you douchebag.
Dooku, and someone who you've played against Dooku plenty. You know how annoying it is to lose 2 random cards in like your opening turn. You're like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah, but at least if you can choose them, you're like, all right, this is fine. Like
Right.
it's awful, but when they're random, it's so much worse because your entire game plan can be hinged on like this one card you found. So
Right, and if you have like the sequencing is messed up. It messes you up, right? Like you want to play your support like last, right?
yeah,
But now you're just like, oh, screw it.
you want to play removal and then do whatever stuff and make some money, and then you're like, surprise, I got the support. Okay, now like you've already cast removal on crappy dice. Here's this big thing, and like it's like, oh, okay. But she does cost 19 points. Even with her dice type being good, if you chase her down like and just knock her off the table, like what do they do?
And she's in the worst color too. So the worst like hero red is like, I guess like you have what's the one that heals you 4 if you have it the first round? Rite Aid. That's not Rite Aid round.
First aid.
First aid. There it is.
Is first aid from the newer sets or from the older sets? Because when this comes out, I think the other stuff rotates.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work with the player committee.
Yeah, stuff. I'm pretty sure it goes convergence forward for this. So there's a lot of cards that are just gone, and I honestly don't even know half of them.
Right.
Like.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I think it'll be interesting to see what happens, but Red Hero, I think generally has been, I'd say, the worst in Destiny so far. So I think giving it something like this is actually kind of good.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on. It's kind of just like a play it by ear. Each of the sides, obviously besides blank, are relatively scary. Like when I look at the sides and I'm like, the worst side I think is the 2 range side. I'm like, whoa. Well, because like if you play 2v2, right, 3 indirect's gonna give 2 to one guy and 1 to the other. Usually, if you put 3 on one guy, we're probably just gonna go kill that guy and be like, whatever.
Yeah, and I do want to make a caveat before someone says something that like C3PO, yes, is Red Hero, but it's not just C3PO. C-3PO and R2-D2 and all that other nonsense.
Are legal.
They are legal, so you could play Jyn Erso C-3PO.
No, you
if
just
you
play
wanted to.
Jyn Erso with R2-D2 so you can flip to the 2 ranged.
There you go.
Oh,
That seems okay.
It would be if R2's die wasn't so terrible and it doesn't have detect.
But he's got a 2 damage side.
Yeah, you got to hit that 1 in 6. Technically, the resource side is also 2 damage side as far as I'm concerned. So you got 33%.
33.
Not disrupt's good too. 50-50. We good. 50-50.
Yeah, that disrupt early on is like super annoying.
Yeah.
I hate playing against that. I'm just like,
I love
use that disrupt, and I don't want him to use that disrupt.
I try to put disrupt on every die. I'm like, oh, every card in my deck has a disrupt side. First things first,
Well, like,
you got no money.
When you put it on a character who's like 11, that's good. When you put it on like a character like Jyn Erso, but Jyn Erso's a 2 disrupt, so that's like actually.
Yeah. When you get hit by 2 resources, you cry a bit. All right.
Yeah.
So going to the next card, if I ever hit this button correctly in my life, because silly, Forewarned. It's a 0 cost event, yellow. In case I forgot, Jyn was red. Derp. Forewarned. It's an event and it has a subtype of intel. Remove a die showing a value less than the cost of a detected card in an opponent's hand. Cost 0. Only works with detect. Removal though. How do you feel?
I mean, it seems fine. Seems pretty good with Jyn, right? Like,
yeah,
you're generally gonna get something. I guess if you get something 0, it's not great, but it still removes a special, right? Is it equal to or less than?
Less than.
It's less than. Less than.
Yeah.
Well,
you definitely have to have multiple detects.
I mean, if you hit a 1, then you can get a special. So yeah, I don't know. It seems. I mean,
it also requires them to keep it.
Right. Yeah, it's probably not good. unless there's a lot of detect.
Yeah.
Then you play it.
We have enough detect, but in general, it'll be valuable because it's 0 cost removal. If you hit a 3 is realistically where your goal is. So I guess it's meta dependent, right? If the meta has a bunch of decks with like 3 cost things in it, even if they somehow get decreased from whatever effect that it has, it was printed 3 cost, and that's all you care about. Then like you'll be fine. So I think it's interesting from there. I wonder if it would have been better if it was the number of detected cards, but I guess at the same time you'd then be limited to like 1 or less if you went equal. So going less than, you can still spike like a 3 or a 4 and be like jackpot.
Right. I mean, once that happens, you're going to be in a good shape, and those bigger cards are probably cards you want to keep. I guess early you don't, but
yeah,
mid game. Mid game would be sick.
Yeah, it's pretty much just going to boil down to like how often do you quickly pitch with Jyn to dump the card from their hand? How fast do the opponents pitch their detected card to reroll? Because then like this is just dead unless you're hitting multiple cards in their hand, and at that point you're probably already so far ahead that you're just like jackpot.
Yeah, and we're gonna definitely see a yellow detect card, I'd imagine, because of this card, right?
Yeah.
So it's not going to be. It doesn't seem like it's going to be specifically for just hero red.
Yeah, there'll probably be a bunch.
Yeah, I wonder if there'll be blue ones.
Who knows?
Blue. I guess they probably will.
Well, so the other thing is this card's neutral, so it means that we're going to likely see villain ones as well. So they could do the split color thing where it's like blue and yellow, and then red and yellow on the other side, or whatever. Like, this is my conjecture, because whilst I have access to look at the cards, I actually don't. I'm terrible. Too much time's wasted on real life. Should just be all on cards. Nothing but cards. Slaving away, making these value systems. Podcast for you guys, right? No.
And we got the name. It's Faltering Allegiances.
Okay.
Or FA for short.
All right.
Which I'm now going to be calling it Farting Allegiance.
Fart.
Because I'm 5. Just kidding.
All right. and the last spoiler is a 2-cost upgrade called Master of Disguise. It's an upgrade title, so we can use it with Bale, who I think is from Convergence. And the sides are 2 indirect, shield, or 2 indirect, 1 shield, 1 resource, special for a resource cost, special for a resource cost, blank. Spy character only. After you play this upgrade, choose a character. Attached character gains the subtypes of the chosen character. Special. Resolve a character die that shares a subtype with the attached character. If it is an opponent's die, resolve it as if it were in your pool. Kind of wish it didn't say character die. I wish it just said die, right? So, like, if you copied a trooper, you could, like, resolve the conscript squad or the mega blaster. And be like, got your fist, sucker. But resolving a character die shares a subtype. Man, that's just so many words on here. And it costs you a resource.
So can you choose, you have to choose a character that's in play, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. But it wouldn't make sense. I mean, it probably wouldn't do anything. Like, you can
set aside zone.
You're like, I'll just choose this character type that's not in play because I'm cool. I don't know. Do you want to take this one first, or should I?
Go ahead. You can always take first.
All right. Well, I don't like it. I think with Bale, maybe it's interesting with Bale, but aside from Bale, I don't know. Didn't they learn Payside's bad? Payside's really bad. Like early on, like you get 2 resources, you play it on turn 1, and then you're like, okay, I can't resolve any of these sides except for like 3 of them, and those sides are all mediocre.
Well, the resource is good. Well,
I mean, you're not playing a 2-cost upgrade just to get a resource, right? Like
I played.
Like sure, you'll take it, but it's not
correct. You don't want one side to be the only side you're looking for. You want like two resource so that any of the 3 you take.
Yeah, you actually do want flexibility. Like, would you play a card that was like 2-cost die that was like, 5 1-resource sides and a blank? Probably not, right?
2 cost? Is there any way I could reduce it?
I don't know. Maybe with Bale. Let's say it's a title.
With Bale, I would do it.
It's called Money Man.
Otherwise, I would just run Han Solo's dice.
Right.
Because it costs 1 and it does it. Even if it has a modified sides and pay sides and shit.
I guess that's my point. Is just one money you'll take in round 1 for sure.
Yeah.
It's like later on it's not as good, so you do want to hit that special later on.
Yeah.
It's probably like not a round 1 play, so you have to think about it as like higher up in the curve of what you want. I'm not crazy about it.
Yeah. I think it's primarily because like the value is supposed to be a little wonky, right? Like, so if you hit a 2 damage side, you paid a resource, and obviously this die, but you prevented yourself from taking 2, and you dealt 2 to your opponent. So the resource cost was the equivalent to removing the die, and then the effects essentially just giving you the benefit.
Right. I mean, I was just gonna say there are a few cards like this I think now, and I don't think they've ever been really that playable.
I think they've all been okay. So here's what I would say: they've all been played. They weren't all played.
Cards been played.
I've been comp robbery many times by running.
I played a lot of cards. All right.
I feel like the other one was like Lack of Faith or something like that. No, it was the old like Vader one. They like let you resolve something, or you like lost your hand or something. I forget what the hell it was, but
it was like you cost to resolve. You get to resolve their die,
or they
unless they discard their hand.
Yeah.
That card is actually good at a very small window in the meta.
Yeah, you're like, I'll take your Vader 2 resource. It's like no. It's like, well, dump your hand.
Like, would you like to dump your hand? No. All right then.
I'm taking this die.
This is a free removal spell.
Yeah. So like I don't know. If the die sides are big, I could see where it comes in. I feel like I would have to hit like 3 damage. At 2 damage, it's evened out for what it's supposed to do. If you can hit a 2 resource side, you've won the jackpot. If you can hit 3 damage, you've gone a little above curve. So I think it'll be all based on that. If it wasn't limited to character die and you could like somehow sneak in hitting random supports, right? You're like, oh, I'm scoundrel like Han. I'm gonna resolve this like this entourage 2 disrupt or 2 resource side. It'd be like, let's go.
Yeah, it's also dependent on how fast the format is, right? Like, generally cards like these aren't really fast, right? Like
Yeah.
it costs you an action to play it, then you roll it out. If you don't hit it, then you like re-roll, and then you have to like go through all this rigmarole where you're like, okay, are there any character dice left?
Yeah.
Because your opponent can just play around it a little bit.
So I'd say the two cards we'd be looking at if we were ever trying to compare this would be Possession, which is the Witch card, and then Force Pull.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, so Possession is. I've gotten wrecked by Possession so many times, and it's always just like, I'm testing this like out of meta Vader deck, and then I play against like one guy who's just like on TTS. He's just tired of losing to Vader, and he like hates life, and he's like, I got this like Possession, I'm ready to go, and then he got it, and I'm just like, and I can't do anything ever. I once played against a Possession deck, and I was playing. What was I playing? Like Voss.
Yeah.
I was playing Voss, and I was just like, oh my god, this is terrible. How do I win?
You don't.
I don't. Yeah, but I mean, I think that's a little. That's like that card's good, right? I think that card's actually good. It's just like witches, like witches ain't good except for like
Daka.
Daka is like fine. Like mom's like fine now. She's just like too expensive. It's too
Zeros are too good.
it's too limiting.
It's because zeros are just too good. That's the issue.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone sort of realized zeros OP in this game.
Yeah,
if they're good,
Yeah, realistically, it boiled down to I think Forsaken coming out. Once it was like Forsaken, Hidden, plus a bunch of other stuff, it's like, well, we can't do this anymore. When it was just like for Hidden Motive and Ancient Lightsaber, you're like, I could deal with this. I could deal with this.
You could play like four. I could play like 4 evens and then be like, feel good about it. And then once you go like 5+, it's like you're gonna whiff too much.
Yeah, the five whiffing once just feels so bad. When you whiff the second time, you flip the fucking table.
No, it's not. It's real bad when you whiff dice.
Yeah. But okay, so from there, I guess we should just go straight into the meta talk. I guess we'll talk about kind of what's going on. So meta-wise, for those that aren't in the know, Faithful Companions is the most broken thing ever. Okay, I'm lying. It is caca, and no one gives a damn.
No one cares anymore. It's funny.
Yeah, dude, I expected it the entire time. And what happens? Nothing. Precisely. It's like, oh, this is too broken. It's like, dude, like, guys, just chill. Just wait it out. Because at some point, you guys will realize that everything else that exists is just so much better than it, and it doesn't matter. And that's where we're at right now. Like, I haven't seen a 5s or an Anakin FC deck in many weeks. How about you, my friend? Have you run into any of those in a while?
Not in a while, and I did want to play an Anakin deck, but I couldn't really. I almost played Anakin's. You know how much I love Mace. I almost played Anakin, Mace, and like either like only can play one ofs because I was like, all right, Mace will get me to my good upgrades. It'll be fine. But I didn't pull the trigger because I was like, I actually wanted like I was like on the bubble of like making top cuts. So I was like, all right, we'll just try to play techs that I thought were good. So
I played Lando.
But yeah,
Anakin.
no, I haven't. What happened?
I played Lando Anakin, but no FC. I don't like Faithful.
Lando Anakin, yeah. I mean, that's the thing is that two costs is expensive, right? And also like doing it round 1 actually just like kind of feels bad. Like it's really detrimental to your like game plan. I don't think there's enough like ones in those color and like blue melee to like sort of make up for it. On the hero side at least. So it's just like nothing really pairs well.
Yeah.
I mean, you could play like mediocre stuff, but it's just like, eh.
Well,
I mean,
so like for me, it goes above and beyond that, and it's just like, all right, let's go with this transition. Round 2, we've killed a guy, killed one of the opponent's guys. And in the process, we've spent 2 resources to do the damage. We've dealt 4 additional damage, and we've dealt 2 to ourselves. This is just for the faithful part. Because technically, with the copy of the ability doing at times, we've done 8 damage, and we've dealt 4 to ourselves, paid 2 resources. When we flip, we also lost 2 of our dice. So, like, there's a massive trade-off there that's, like, huge for me. So, like, you didn't build up a board state, most likely because you went minus a resource. If you got anything, it's because your other dice decided to hit resource. So, like, maybe you got some cheap stuff and you did some crazy chain, or you played, like, merchant freighters, but it was other cards doing it for you. So, you get this going and you snipe a guy out. But if you look at most of the best decks available right now, if you snipe a guy out, they almost don't care. Like, the 2-wide decks care, and like that's where it matters. But the 2-wide decks are pretty much getting stomped by 3-wides also. So, like, it's just like, oh, I killed your 3PO, and you're just like, and? I have all these supports, and now you don't have the dice to put a dent into the next person. So, like,
I was just going to say, I also think the meta is just sort of like, I think, like, Palpatine was good against that just because you had so much, like, shield, so you could just, like, tank up and, like, all right, you want to spend your money? I'll spend like this die to, like, tank up, and then, like, also get a bunch of money with Watto, or I think there were other stuff that was doing that. I think that, like, it's funny because Vader's really good against shields, but, like, Anakin's just kind of like, that trade-off isn't, like, great.
Yeah.
Like, it's fine, but it's kind of a counter to it. Well, actually, as long as you're not going too deep.
No, Palp should actually get destroyed by Anakin FC.
Yeah, you think so?
Well, it's because you're pushing in heavy into that first guy. It's the decks where, like, that first guy dies and you don't care, or the ones where, like, you're in a good spot. If Anakin, like, chunks 4 into you, and between him and Han resolve a die or whatever, and then just, like, I don't know, steadfast you or something, Vader's done. Like, Vader can't. He doesn't recover from that well. Like, even if he plays, like, 2 1-drops, he's just like, oh shit.
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I haven't played the matchup, but I just remember that, like, playing, like, against shield decks was just really annoying with Anakin, because you were just like, all right, I'll do 2, and you're like, all right, tank up.
Yeah.
And then it's just like they're building a board, and they have some removal, and they have some, like, stuff, and, like, Anakin's pay sides are like sure, you'll take it, but, like, you know, and it seems all right. Like, you're like, you know, you pay 1 to deal 2, you activate to deal 2, and then you can pay 1 to deal 4, and then that's 8. And in theory, that seems like that should be, like, auto, and sometimes it is if you get that. If that happens to you, sure, but
yeah, no, I'm pretty comfortable saying Anakin FC should just crush Palp. But it's because Palp doesn't make as many shields as you want in that first round. The thing you got to remember is that it's Palp's not going to Bacta for, like, 5 round 2 at the top of it. He's not going to have the shields to top of round 2 survive. Like, he might have got 2 in between that damage, but you've dealt 8 from there, and not counting your 4 dice that came out. So, like, he gets brutalized because he's taking, like, pretty much 8 round 1. He doesn't really have removal, so, like, he struggles in that regard as well. He ramps and he puts his big thing out. If he gets the, like, Sheen mastery and stop what you're doing, then yeah. But most of his stuff, he's not going as shield heavy as he used to. He still does the shield thing, but he does it, like, slowly and over time, and not.
Right. I think that's sort of changed. I think the meta has shifted for Palp to just be like, because, you know, originally we had these, like, Palp decks that were a bunch of, like, 2s, but now they're like, I got all the big bombs now, you know.
Yeah. It's a bunch of 1s and then, like, some 2s and then 4s.
Yeah.
But
I think they play that. I've seen they play the 5.
Deathfield? Yeah. No, I'm counting that in the 4 section.
Okay.
It's Force Storm, Sheen Mastery, and Deathfield.
Yep.
They stick 1 down and then just jam it at you several times. But I'm just saying, like, he still does the thing where he tanks with shields. It's just it takes multiple rounds. Any of the decks that are very slow to do it, he's already built up by then. But, like, when you start chunking round 1, he's already, like, freaking out essentially. But it's like the one deck that's in, like, that top portion that really kind of screws with it. I guess Mill gets ruined by Anakin as well, because you can just fire through whatever guy, make sure you don't kill him with the flip, and then just go straight into the second guy, and, like, you'll get there. But for the most part, like, we're not seeing Anakin FC, but we could see a potential return if a bunch of decks adjust, because Top of meta right now, we talked about it. We feel like Rescue Han droids and Palpatine are like the better two decks. There's other decks around in that area that beat some of them, but like most decks can't deal with both. Like those Anakin FC decks like can't beat rescue droids because you lost too much, you flipped, and they already have a giant board state.
Yeah. Yeah, I would tend to agree with that. I think that I actually you're gonna laugh. I think that Dooku, 13 cost Dooku is really good against both those decks. All right. Well, okay, maybe not against. No, I think he's good against both.
You think he's good against rescue droids?
Yeah, like they discard 2 cards every turn, and they need all these cards to like churn up. So it's either like, all right,
they discard 2 cards once.
I mean, yeah, I guess so, but they discard like, okay, I don't know. It just seems that the deck needs all its cards. Maybe I'm wrong.
It tries to use all of its cards, but it's just that if it ramped out, right? Because the thing is, your damage is heavy for round 1, like from what a deck normally does. It's pretty heavy, I would say, round 1, and you have access to hitting the pumped discard off of Dooku's dice with the rule of 2. But if you're looking into like a round 3, like, do you think you could have killed 2 guys in 2 rounds normally? I know you'd be kind of close-ish. You can definitely kill one early 2.
I think you can kill 2 guys in 3 rounds.
Yeah, the problem is 3 rounds, I think, is enough time to rescue Han while you're still taking fire. And if one of your guys goes down...
Oh, no, I mean, I don't know. I mean, you can kill... I think you could kill Han, and I think you could either, like, kill 2 guys or, like, kill Han in, like, round 4. And I think that's... And it is... Alright, so I'm going to say... I think it's like, a close matchup. And I hadn't made the deck to, like, play against that deck specifically, but I think if I did, I could beat it 100%. I think it would be favored.
Oh, I think we got this match in the works. We got the grudge match of Rescue Droids versus
we got the grudge match. Yeah,
Kylo Dooku, trying to make this Kylo Dooku comeback, and it's just like,
hey, someone messaged me, and they went 7-2. They made playoffs. They went 7-2 or like 8-2 or 6-2 or something, and they made playoffs. And they played Kylo Dooku. So watch out. You're going to see a Kylo Dooku in the Artificery Top 16.
Yeah, no, Kylo Dooku's fine. But I'm pretty sure he gets just raffle stomped by rescue droids. Rescue droids, like, you cause issues with the way they do stuff. It's just, I think the total health pool versus the damage they can output will be more than they can normally handle, especially when you're not playing with time.
So I think part of the issue also is just Kylo's pretty bad against them.
Yeah,
and I think that's the main issue. So I will I will think about like what other character I can play with Dooku. I was thinking that like one die Dooku and like what's his name, Thrawn could be kind of interesting against them because you're just like, all right, discard 2, make you lose your hand, like you ain't rescuing shit, and then you just like,
are you playing Mill now? Like
you're playing like aggro Mill with the best strategy in all of Star Wars Destiny that's never been good.
You won't have rule of 2 anymore though.
I know it's bad, but I'm just saying that. I'm not going to pretend like this deck is good, but it might be good. I'm not going to pretend like it's definitely right, but I'm going to say that I think that there might be something else with Dooku you can do. Dooku do what Nintendo don't, as they say.
I was trying to think if there was like a 12-point apprentice, and I couldn't think of one. Not in villain.
Non-villain. You have Anakin at 13.
Yeah. But at 13, you can't rule of 2 and play another guy. They don't have a 4-cost guy.
Yeah, you can play... Oh, yeah, because there's rule of 2.
Your BTL?
Not rule of 3.
So it's like, yeah, 17 point, like, you can play Maul, right? And then like you're like, wait, why am I running rule of 2?
Okay, so here's a question. Is Bane is he just a bad Palpatine?
I don't know. I think the answer is he sets up better. The problem is his ability worth more than just having Watto? Because his teammate sucks. So like his ability,
Watto's really good.
yeah. So his ability is essentially like that other die you got, and you got kind of you got forwarded those 2 resources that other die was supposed to get you. When Watto just hits 5 resources, and then you still play the same upgrade that he played, that he was gonna play with his discount. You're just like, oh well, like now we're not even because Palpatine can pull the die back out and Bane can't. Bane just has bigger die sides, but you don't care because it was like his is what 2, 3, and then like the special and the resource, whereas like Palpatine's 2, 2, 2 shield, 2 focus, and the resource like it just the overall die ends up just being better. So like that's where I would say it is. Like you can definitely hit the stuff with Bane and come out start faster. But I think your top end is much worse because Palpatine can just do the stuff reliably and have a good teammate.
That's a good answer.
Yeah.
So shout out to Kylo Mike. He will be in the top 16. I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to try to coach him up. We're going to get the trophy. The Dooku. The old man's going to take it home.
The old man's going to take it home.
The old man's going to take it home. Yeah, I mean, I think that like, I think if you play like EMPs, if you like 2x EMPs, it's good. I think that's
EMP. Good. What the hell? Where's this EMP coming from?
Electromagnetic pulse.
Like I know what it is. I'm saying, where's it coming from?
You just play it from your hand.
He's playing Lanza, so he's probably playing Palp round 1.
I wonder if he turned in his deck yet. Probably not.
No. Decks aren't in yet. I'm in Top Cut. They're in like 2 days.
I'm gonna definitely be like, yo, 2 EMP, do it.
Do 2 EMP, do it now.
Oh, this is gonna be world hurt.
You'll thank you. His list is actually really different and like pretty innovative. So I think that I'm not gonna spoil it, but
yeah,
once people see him, they're gonna be like, oh shit, I don't know what to do against this version.
Don't ruin his life.
I'm not.
Okay. So yeah, more or less meta talk. We're seeing like a bunch of droids. We're seeing a bunch of Palp right now, and then we're seeing other stuff try to kind of make the rounds. Bounty Hunter closing in with Asajj. Some mill.
I think that I like the Boba Jango. I think I like that one better.
The issue with that was you could make money, but your damage was kind of sketchy.
Yeah.
So like you had to run bounties, right? Well, because you ran bounties in both. But if you do it with Asajj at least, like you can have stacks of removal. So you hit the guy and you get to remove their dice, their upgrade or character die. And then Dengar's getting like the poke-in. And you get blue, so you get like Neiman Masteries or access to Sheehan's and the whole other color for removal and stuff. Forsaken, Hidden Motive, or no Hidden Motive because you get DM. So like the blue makes realistic sense from that regard. You can more adequately spend the money that you're getting.
I guess also everyone and their mother playing DM now makes Slave 1. Like Slave 1's so good, yeah. But like if everyone's playing DM, Slave 1's pretty bad. So yeah. I could see that being actually the reason why. Because I'm like, oh, Slave 1's so good.
Yeah, Slave 1's amazing.
Yeah,
and then that happens.
The DM and you're like, oh, I hate you.
Because that thing was like 4 damage. It was like, what am I gonna hit you with? Like 4 damage around, dude? Go away. Yeah. You cost 3.
That was like I'm just taking 1 million damage from them. It's like they have that Slave 1 die. They got 2 damage. I was like, oh yeah, you pilot twice. Ding ding.
Yep. Then they eject it and play another one. You're like, what? They don't. But I don't know. In general, I'd say like that's what we're looking meta-wise. The Qui-Gon Yoda deck's interesting. I really don't know what it beats and what it doesn't beat. It kind of dirtles really well.
I lost to that deck. I actually lost to it. So this is why I was saying that I thought that like shields were good because I played an Anakin deck with Anakin. Anakin with FC. Yeah. And I couldn't. They just too much shields. I just like, what the fuck? How am I gonna get through?
Yep.
Apologies for the children at home. I said fudge.
I lost to them too. I lost with Lando Anakin. But I had beat like Asajj with it, and I beat Mill with it, and I don't know. Lando getting in stuff was sweet. Escape Crash for 1 is amazing.
But that is a really good card. I had Lando Luke when you hit that Escape Craft.
Yeah. Oh
yeah. You get like 3 resources.
Oh, the money. So yeah. The problem was like you had to hit that resource natural because you didn't have focus. And it was like, oh.
No, the problem was that every time I played it, it got DM'd, and I was like, I hate everyone. Like, why is this card just like the most played card in the format now?
Here's your best one. Lando shrinks in Anakin's pod racer, and you're actually playing an Anakin. It's just big Anakin. So then you're like, oh, I'll take a shield and I'll take a card from your hand. And you're just like, oh, God, I hate you so much. It's like, hit that random discard.
Fun.
I'll take 2, baby. Let's go. I don't know. Did that, and then you do like the Falcon action sheet because it's funny. People like stop and they have to go read Lando and then read the Falcon, and they're like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Well, this thing activates, and I got an ambush, and it, put my guy in. Anakin hits you and then smashes you. Like, yeah, don't worry about it. You're dead." But yeah, no. So like, I don't know. I think the meta still has like, in theory, room for growth, but it's gonna be a miss right now because like, you're gonna be looking to try to build a deck that can beat Palpatine and droids, and if you can't beat both of those, you kind of are throwing up a prayer. Like, if you can beat one auto and then have the other one at least be like a 50-50 or something, then like, that's fine. But if you can't auto beat one of them, or at least have like a, an above odds shot against both decks, I don't think you can play whatever deck you're trying to play.
So you were saying that you think Afra's good against droids?
No. I was saying Afra doesn't beat droids or Palpatine, so I don't think you can play Afra.
Okay. So what's the point of playing Afra? You were like, oh, people talk about Afra. I'm like, Afra just seems terrible. It can't be like.
No, it was beating like everything else. It was beating everything else, but it couldn't beat.
And Mill, I don't know. It just seems.
Oh yeah, no, Mill it couldn't beat, but people weren't playing Mill because Anakin was around. So that was.
I mean, yeah. I could see if they're playing like two character Anakin decks, you're just like, all right, indirect. Yeah. But with flip to Vader, I don't know. I love Afra, I really do. I will say that I think that there is a world where I could see there being a. No, never mind. They get a 12 plus 12 health. It's done.
Oh, just 12 health on is silly. I love them. Like, oh, what happened? They gained 12. What? And they still have shields and healing? Yes. Jesus.
Well, they gain 12 and they get like 2 dice that like deal a billion damage. And they get an extra resource every turn.
And if you don't kill 3PO, it's like Han into Falcon into 3PO and like insta resolve stuff, and you're just like, dude, go away. But all right, so NJ Cuenca wanted to talk about power action tokens.
I was playing against one of the Nick Disney Junior. I was playing Nick Junior, the Disney Junior guys, and he has one of these power action tokens that like has like one color is on and one is off. And then we played the game. And admittedly, I was a little salty about the game, but like part of it was the fact that like he has the power action tokens on his like guy, and I'm like, oh, he hasn't used his thing in my mind. And so I understand that it's like easy to just put them on there and then just off and on. But it's just I think it's bad to use them. And I think that if you don't like them and you're playing against someone, you should totally be like, oh, I don't want you to use that. Could you just like drag it on and off like everyone else does? Or, I would also accept something like the Hyperloops power action tokens. If you start on the black side, then you go to the other side where it says power action, as opposed to like I don't know why people thought that like having these like double-sided with different colors was a good idea, as opposed to just like having one that was like on and off seems like. That makes sense. Like if you do on and off, like with your logo, sure. Like,
so, dude, I hate off and on. I hate it. You know why? Because does off mean that they can no longer use the power action, or it means they haven't used it yet? Right.
Well, I can think like, how about this? Unused and used. Like if you do unused, you're like, all right.
Yeah.
Like,
okay. That's.
So for anyone making power action tokens from now on, I think the standard should be unused and used. I think like there would be, if you want flips. There's no way that you could mess that up. But when you have different colors, it's like, oh well, red is on and blue is on, or whatever the
green
delineation is. I go back to something I heard John Finkel say, and for those who don't know, John Finkel is one of the best Magic players, if not the best Magic player of all time. Although I think PV is probably better at this point. I think he's won the most money out of any of them. And he said he never played with proxies at all because like Magic was too hard, and like. When you're in a real game, you're not going to be playing with proxies. So you don't want any other thing that you're thinking about. You're going to have to do extra like mental strain to like be like, all right, this is the card, and it's not, it's not like it's a the back of a magic card and it just says the name, and then you have to think about like what it is. And I think, practically speaking, you know what it is, and you can think about it. But those are just like extra steps and extra like mental energy that you don't need to use. And I think that like it's actually a detriment to like make your opponent. Well, it's actually good for you to make your opponent like have to remember that like blue is off and red is on, or red is off and red is whatever. So I think that if you don't like playing against that, don't feel bad, because I don't either. And if you don't care, that's also fine. But if I ask you to please not use them, I actually played. My opponent was like, "Well, it's a hindrance to me to have to put it on." And it's like, "Well, that's just the standard. I'm just asking you to play the standard way that everyone plays, not like off and on, like random color this and random color that."
Yeah.
It's just an extra thing you have to think about.
Yeah, like to be fair about that, it's about adding a marker to say that it was used. So like off and on is kind of that weird spot. The other thing is that if we're playing cleanup, right? Like as an opponent, you can see the token on it and like help them move the token. When it's off or on, and like the token's staying there, the token will always be there. It's whether it's the smaller symbol that's used or not used, essentially off, on, whatever. So there's confusion in what it means. Like some people just have like the 2-color thing, and it's like go away, or like you're playing in the middle of the match or whatever, and like if it's on the wrong one in the middle of matches or middle of the round is essentially when I'd be like more frustrated by it, because the token never actually leaves. So if you forget to do it, it's even harder for me to be like, oh, it's supposed to be on this side or that side. Like I barely know what the hell's going on. But if it's a token, in general, it's much easier to be like, all right, take that token off of Palp. You haven't even activated or used the die or whatever yet. And I think that's just more about knowing or being familiar with it. But I still have no idea whether it's supposed to be off or on. And like,
Right.
yeah, no, I don't know. I hate it. And
I think that's a good segue to my other point, which is the general limitations of TTS. And unfortunately, we play in the sandbox game, which is generally it's like fantastic because it lets you do a lot of things, but it's very limited. And the whole like, if you're ever playing like a real card game that's designed to play online, like Arena or Hearthstone or whatever have you, there's a lot of these things that happen automatically. When you use a power action at the end of the round, you have to clean up. You have to do all these like manual actions.
Mhm.
And I had something happen to me where I played against Rescue Han, and it's funny because I started the match and I was like, okay, so this is like an elite plot, and he's like, yeah. Started playing the match and everything, and then like he flips, and then when he flips with one die. And then I'm like, oh, okay, so that means like if you're playing any other video game where you like see something happen, in your mind you're like, oh, that's what happened. He comes in with one die. But like obviously he comes in with 2 dice. So I moved my damage in a certain way to not go after him, which I should have obviously. And that's like the limitation of TTS, where like I'm sure that will never happen to me again, but because that happened to me in this one game, I essentially lost because of the limitations of the program and not being able to, like not being able to see the same thing happen over and over again. Sure, you'll see one die fly, but my opponent then, what he does is he has the die. Most people, they keep their dice like on the side of the character or behind him or whatever. But then my opponent, and he's not trying to be sneaky or anything. And I don't think he's not being sneaky. But he takes the die and he copies it and he puts it like really behind, like really back. I didn't see it. I didn't see him copy it and copy a die and put it like way behind. Like most of the time, like I don't know. In my mind, I would just like if I played on, I would like he would be exhausted and I'd put both the dice on him.
Yeah. Well,
but that's not what happened.
So the limitation there is only that the card was brought in and like the DB wasn't updated to bring those cards in. As far as spawning with 2 dice, you can actually have it done. Most people don't know how to have it done. And you just actually you just write elite at the bottom because they put the coding so that it spawns the Han die from Awakening. So you just write elite, no capitals. before the AW whatever number it was for Han, and it'll spawn 2 dice. Mine all spawn 2 dice. But whatever, it happens. A lot of stuff happens, and the big thing is like it's not about, man, this happened, like, okay, so it kind of is like people really shouldn't do this, but it's more about just kind of trying to curb confusion a lot of the time if you can. Just kind of make sure stuff's known. All right, hey, just so you know, this is an elite plot. Because like if someone's playing against droids, like you probably wouldn't even expect that elite Han or elite rescue could even fit in the team, and you'd be like, wait, what? And it's like, yeah.
Well, it's just like it sort of goes back to my point of like having to keep all these things in your mind, like while you're playing. And like I find Destiny to be very, very like a hard game. Like there's so much math. You're like, risk reward sort of situations. You're also thinking about what's your opponent's hand, like how they're going to sequence their things. Like Destiny's super hard. It's a hard game. So you have to think about these other things that are on top of it, like how the game actually looks in relation to like what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have to do the physical actions as the additional like TTS limitations, which is, like when you're saying, like power action tokens don't leave. You have to do it all like manually. And you have to spawn your dice manually, and like, sorry, not your dice manually. You have to spawn your resources manually, discard randomly, and that's fine. I'm not really complaining about it, but this is Nick Cuenca's rant of the day.
Of the week.
Of the week. No. Every day I'm gonna have a rant now.
Okay, so now there's rants and there's jokes. We got
There's jokes.
We got the list.
Rants. We got the list. Yeah.
We got them all, baby. We got them all.
Old man rant. I wish I had an old man like hat on or something.
You gotta have you gotta put in a cutscene there. It's like old man rants with Nick Cuenca.
My dad gave me this like old like Russian hat, so I think from now on I'm gonna grab it and then put it on and then start.
You just do it like your Tiny Grams.
Wait, Ronnie.
All right. All right, so let's get to the podcast questions. And we're on like an hour now, which is probably more than you guys have ever expected from us. More than we expect to give you guys, to be honest. All right.
It always runs over, doesn't it?
With me, it does. I talk a lot. All right, so we got Eco Mode coming in with, where would you rank the top decks at the moment? Aphra, Palp, Droids Rescue, Mill, etc. And is there any deck that you can see making a comeback? Rank as in best deck, second best deck, etc. So we kind of went over this talking about the meta. The meta can shift frequently, and it's kind of about like what's being played, right? So like let's say no Palpatine's being played, then I go Rescue Droids is the best deck, right? With Palpatine being played, if you can adjust Rescue Droids to deal with Palpatine, then it's like, okay, Rescue Droids is the best deck. But if you can't, then that's problematic. So now, if you make adjustments to deal with, like, let's say Palpatine, then other decks start giving you issues. Like, it's going to kind of fluctuate back and forth, especially with these kind of control-type decks. Palpatine tends to be closer to, like, a control deck, but if I had to just pick one deck, I'd say Palpatine's the best deck right now, but he also has, like, the most weaknesses. Like, pure aggro can ruin his shit. People running, like, hate cards with, enough damage, ruin his shit. Like, there's so many ways to essentially beat Palp. They're just not good ways to play the game. That's the dilemma. Like, if you see Trandoshans with mind extractions, like, yeah, Palpatine's going to get blown the heck up. And they're probably going to get blown up by every Anakin deck. Half of the aggro decks with easy pickings. I don't know how Droids competes with them right now, but if Droids can just have their guy die, but then like trade off and kill a guy, lose their second guy, and then have Han come in, it's a wrap. Nobody's coming in there getting 12 damage with like just those 3 dice, right? Like you kill one of the Trandoshans. But so yeah, I'd say it probably goes like Palp 1 right now, Droids 2, and then there's no like straight up 3. There's stuff going around, like you can play the Aphra, you can play the Mill, you can play like Qui-Gon Yoda, but like stuff has so much room to kind of grow and adjust for the meta that I think where we're at right now is like, I'd say just those 2 and everything. There's a bunch of tied for 3, but it's still early in that regard. It's not early in like, oh, these new cards are absolutely busted, because we kind of know at this point like those cards were very good, but they brought heroes to play stuff now. It's just DM's just still so strong that it kind of ruins things. Palp beats a lot of decks on the back of DM because you can't Mega Blaster or Fist him. He's just going to DM you, and then you're just so far behind, and he's ridiculous. So it's like, okay.
Yep.
I'll let you take the next one. With Faltering Allegiances coming out in a month-ish, what color faction is best positioned with just the Convergence block? Sorry, I gave you the hard one. Is best positioned with just the Convergence block cards?
Next. No, okay, sorry. Can you say that again? You were like, blah, 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 blah,
sorry.
blah.
With Faltering Allegiances coming out in a month, give or take, what color / faction is best positioned with just the Convergence block cards?
With just the Convergence block cards.
Yeah, because the stuff prior to Convergence rotates out.
Right.
Did you get to play Trilogy at any point with Convergence?
I didn't know. Did you play Trilogy?
I did.
All right. Well, you take this one.
Okay.
Because I don't know. I mean,
yeah.
I'm like, Anakin's good.
All right. So when Trilogy happened,
Rescue Han.
it was droids and it was Palpatine. Those were like the two decks during Convergence.
Okay, yeah,
block.
That makes sense.
So, and I remember there being there were pretty much Watt and Watto versions, but we would probably just see Watt because you get access to Admiral. And so like do some stuff, untap, like smush your face is just very good. I think they lose Force Jump, but they get to keep Neiman training. And I'd actually have to see what set like Mastermind and stuff is from. But Palpatine doesn't lose nearly as much, I guess, as other decks do. And then Droids is just Droids, so like they'll take value with whatever is available, and they can afford it. Yeah, Satine Droids, if confused, because Chopper obviously you can't play with 3PO. Past that, we could probably see some Han Annie-FC. That would be like pretty aggressive, and if people can't deal with that, that's gonna be a pain in the butt. I don't know if Mill is around. I can't think of a Mill deck that would be legal at that point, but yeah, pretty much Droids and Palp, and then we'll probably see some Han FC. Might see some Poe Han supports because see, I don't know if Black One and BB. I'm pretty sure BB-8's new, and I think Black One's new. But honestly, I'm not 100% sure because I don't know half of those sets anymore. Like they were all just the same. They were legal, and I played with everything. But they do lose easy picking, and that's kind of rough. And I think you lose mean streets and stuff. So I'd start with Palp and Droids, same place as Standard.
My hard thing was just remembering what cards are in those decks that aren't. I would say the easy answer is probably Palpatine.
Yeah. Mega Blaster and Entourage exist, but no Fist.
Yeah, I would say Palpatine just because he when he was printed, he came with a bunch of stuff too, and then we have all this other stuff that just came. That's obviously very good with him. All the big boom boom. So I would say I'd probably just say Palpatine.
Mm-hmm.
What gets good as a color that's like not Palpatine? I don't know. Anakin. Blue hero, like Anakin, you can pair with a bunch of stuff. But
I can't.
Let's
I
get
can't
to
even
the
think,
next question.
I can't even think what's not rotated.
Let's get to the next question because.
Yep, they wanted to ask about our takes on the 3 spoil cards, but we did those. After some playtime with transformation cards, do you think that we answered this one too, but I'll give it to you anyways. After some playtime with transformation cards, do you think that they are as powerful as some thought at first glance?
It's funny. I think that I would say yes, they are as powerful as people thought. I just think that because it definitely did change the meta significantly. I think what ended up happening was that Rescue Han with droids ended up being better than it was not like the week 1 deck that everyone tried. Everyone had like a big hard on for Anakin and FC and fives. So yes, because because Rescue Han ended up being better than everyone thought, and sort of even became even more powerful than Anakin and fives.
I think I built that deck day 1. Hold on. And I definitely built it August 1st, But I remember it coming out, and I was like, ooh, I could rescue Han with this. And I was like, I don't know if I want to rescue Han with this. Yeah, July 15th, I had built the deck with rescue Han. I was like, yeah, we're good. We get rescue Han. And then I got like mud stomped because my deck was inefficient in the way it did things. No, I was playing droids, so I don't count. I was playing droids till I died, right?
Well, I think it was just one of those things where, like, I don't know, the list needed to get tightened up and all that. The people and like learning what was important and yada yada yada. It seems weird, right? Like, if you had played it and you got stomped, then what happened, right?
So I played it in one event. I think I went 1-2. I made adjustments, passed the list to Zion. He made like some adjustments, and then he won the entire Artificery tournament. So yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I played one game for that tournament. It was versus Zion. He was playing closing in, and he got mud stomped because he closing in my 3PO, and I never activated 3PO the entire game, but I killed him. Don't need no stinking 3PO. But he did well with it. A lot of people did well with it. So
it's great. Yeah, I think it's a good deck. It's really fun to play against.
You say that so great. It's so fun to play against. Droids.
It's like, oh yeah, you got a new character. That seems fair.
Yeah, you got another 12 health to droids and 2 more dice. What the hell is this?
Oh, he gives you an extra resource every turn.
And then your guys died,
cool.
So you can't make a bunch of money. Oh wait, he just does it anyway. Okay, awesome. All right. Stole J asks, why are hot dogs sold in packages of 10, but hot dog buns are sold in packages of 8?
Oh, this is an easy one.
Go ahead.
They just want to sell. They want to sell more buns. That's it. It's just it's a conspiracy. I'm sure there's a YouTube video about this. Look it up. There's a conspiracy between the bun manufacturers and the hot dog manufacturers, where like they're in a secret dealing in a cabal where they decide that that's what they're going to do because you end up losing out one. You're like, I need 10 and 8, so I need 2 buns, and then you're like, I got all these buns left. Later, you get some hot dogs.
Yeah,
you don't want hot dogs sitting around in your fridge for too long. That's gross.
Yeah, so 4 sets of hot dogs and 5 sets of buns, right?
Exactly, but I mean, no human being is going to do that. And I love hot dogs. I would never do that. Although I will say, I will plug Pearl hot dogs at your butcher. If they're still doing butchers in your area, some places they're not because of COVID. They're like, we can't have people touching food or something, which I dislike. It's another question. But Pearl hot dogs are the best. Natural casing, deli, big, tasty.
Big and tasty.
Big and tasty.
So I don't know. I know that the thing that bakers would use for the hot dog buns were like the row they would just put 4 in, and it'd be 2 sets of 4 because they were above each other. But hot dogs, from what I was told, is they put 1/10 of a pound in each hot dog. But then, like, why couldn't it just be 1/8 of a pound in each hot dog? It would have been 2 ounces per hot dog instead of like 1.6 ounces per hot dog, and we'd have 8 and 8. But I guess that's the norm, and yes, they want to make you buy stuff. But I think I've also been sad. Like, you ever like go to grill your food and like you drop one, or like one pretty much dives off. It just dies. It's so you can, so you can drop 2 hot dogs, bro.
I will say, yeah, you have extra hot dogs, so maybe they knew that you're at a barbecue and you're gonna probably be a little clumsy. Mm-hmm. And like if you drop, let's just say you drop a hot dog, on the floor, that's way grosser than like dropping a bun. I think a bun you can kind of wipe it off, but the hot dog gets a little like slimy, and then it like absorbs whatever it is that falls, like like a little dirt. Like if you get a little dust, but I don't know, dust on a hot dog is like a little dust on hot dog is not as good as like you get the bun and you just like wipe it off. You wipe off that dust.
No. You guys need to see there's a horror on my face at the fact that he just said, well, you could knock off the hot dog, and you can't do that because you drop the hot dog, and that's ruined. But if you drop the bun, you can just clean that off, and you can still eat this. No to both.
I mean, if you butter your bun, it's over. Like that butter is just going to absorb everything. But if you just have a regular bun, I think it's fine. Obviously, if you drop it in poop, they're both KO'd.
Look, sure, if you dropped it, you could rip off half of your bun or whatever part got tarnished.
There you go.
You could rip off a part of a hot dog. It's just the bottom of the hot dog would be like, I give up the entire hot dog. Screw this shit. If you drop the bottom of a bun, you're like, well, there's a hole here. I could just rip along the perforations.
I think you're wrong because when a hot dog falls, it falls on one side completely.
Yeah.
Right? So there's like half of it. And what are you gonna like slice it in half?
Yeah.
As opposed to a bun where it falls and then like half of it you can just rip off the skin a little bit and that's like much easier.
If you perforate it. But that's only if it fell on the bottom or the top. If it fell on the side, then you got it on the piece of both sides of the bun.
Yeah, I guess you're right.
It's disgusting either way, you mother effer. 5-second rule, my nutsack. 5-second
5 second rule is tough. It's a tough one.
Is like a 3-second rule. 2.5 seconds.
I mean, even a bounce is just, I don't know if you have you ever had a hot dog fall and then you just like rinsed it off?
Not
eat it?
Not outside. Let's say
Not
I don't
outside,
know.
Right?
I'm in my house. It fell on the countertop. I know my countertop is clean because I cleaned it recently, today or whatever. Sure, I'll go rinse it off. That's fine. Anything hits the ground, it's done. It's dead to me. Never coming back. It's going straight in the trash. That's it, man. That's it.
All right.
All right.
All right. I mean, I think I know more about you now.
Yeah, I know more about you. I've never. Hey, Cuenca, did this hot dog hit the ground? Did this bun hit the ground?
Okay, so
did you knock it off?
In my defense, if I was serving food, it's done. I would never. This is my own personal garbage man philosophy, where I would just dumpster dive or something for like a hoagie. That would be fine.
Okay.
For other people, I can't make that judgment call.
No. Okay. That's fair. At least that's fair. I have to commend you in that regard. It's your own well-being or lack of well-being, and you're okay with that. That's fine.
Hey man, dirt's got iron in it, so you need that shit.
Sure, whatever you say. Platform says, now that we have our refunds. Oh, did you know we got our refunds?
I did. I didn't need to know that, actually.
Now that we have our refunds, do you see any possibility of a community-run Worlds happening in 2021?
Not with the Rona. Simple. I think we could do like an online one, maybe. But that wouldn't be true like IRL World.
I could see like a Q4, maybe Q3, but realistically, like, I think we'd have to be aiming around the summer months for most normal people. Like, they probably need their kids not to be in school or whatever, daycares and random stuff. Or maybe that's actually the worst time for them because their kids would be home. So then, like, I actually don't know how that adjustment would be made, essentially. But, like, any of the younger people in college or anything like that wouldn't be able to go if they're, in the middle of classes. So I'd probably say summerish. And currently what we're looking with Rona, definitely 2021 would be pretty atrocious to try to get that going. 2022 seems fairly reasonable, though.
I know that Pfizer is working on something that's in the third trial. So hopefully they're right. Or Putin's got the super serum somewhere.
Moderna, Pfizer/BioNTech, and AstraZeneca are all in their phase 3 of their trials.
Oh yeah, you're like doing stock stuff. So
yeah.
you're looking at that stuff like nonstop.
Nonstop, baby. Yeah, nonstop. You're like, why do you know so much? And it's like, no, I didn't follow Corona. I only followed pharma.
No. I already knew. I snapped at her. Like, you're doing stocks. Obviously, you're like reading the news every day.
Yeah, but so that's where we're looking. We should be getting phase 2 news from Moderna soon. But that's a whole separate podcast for you guys to listen in on. So if the follow-up question, if so, would Bobo come back for one more tournament?
Ooh, you have to ask him.
Yes.
You think so?
That's on you.
You know what? Guess. He wasn't gonna do Worlds initially, right? But he was gonna go. So I think he would go for sure. I don't know if he would play. That would be my take on it.
If we had enough of kind of like the OG crew, the people he, enjoys hanging around with, I could definitely see him going. If not to play, but for like a boys' weekend out. To see his people that he doesn't see anymore. Yeah.
I miss that. That's one of the things I miss the most about the coronavirus world is just seeing all my friends at like cons and stuff. It's just this summer I really could have used like a weekend like that where I was just like went crazy and was in some random city, and it would have been glorious, but
Sang your
it
heart
was
out,
not.
ripped off the shirt.
I would have
like Hulk Hogan, like oh.
go karaokeing, drink a little bit too much where I just like don't. Where I'm like, I had a lot of fun. Was it worth it? Probably, but it's close.
Many nighttime activities.
Just fun, man. Whatever, and not even the drinking, but also like the playing games and competing at like the highest level. Like right, like even like Destiny's like a pretty cash game, but like when you get there, that's like the height of competition. Like who doesn't want to be the world champion?
I'd say it's like for that one weekend, kind of forgetting that you have to be an adult.
That's a good way of thinking about it.
Yeah. You don't have to worry, like, how do I make my money?
Joe two shakes. Joe's like always walking around with two milkshakes.
Yes.
I will say this, though, depending on how long you've been listening to the podcast, so Bobo is the original member of the Hyperloops. We had a 3. I think most people know this, but
yes.
I just want to say there were 3 of us, and he has taken a sabbatical to be lame.
Valorant. But that's Bobby Sapphire. He used to write articles, too.
Yeah, send the hate mail at Bobby Sapphire.
Bobby
Sapphire.
.sex. All right, last one. Norman says, what cards have overperformed and underperformed from covert missions?
It's a good question. I would say, I think Rescue Han Solo overperformed for me.
That's transformations.
In Rescue?
Covert missions, yeah.
Probably covert missions. Overperformed. But that's only because of Rescue Han Solo.
As soon as I say these first 2 cards, you're going to be like, yes, Sheehan Mastery and Deathfield.
Oh, no. I knew Sheehan Mastery was the nuts. Like first every deck was like 2 Sheehan Masteries was the nut.
Yeah, but the problem was still...
I will give you Deathfield. I thought Deathfield might be too expensive.
It is still too expensive. It's just it does too much. You're like, I get 2 of this dice every round.
Yeah.
Like, all right.
No, I think that I thought it was too... I thought like the indirect and like that would be too much. I thought that...
It's still too much for regular decks, but like Palpatine and Bane get it relatively cheaply or just keep using it, and it is pretty disgusting. 2 discard side coming out and getting your hand and then coming back for like a special is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, so let's say we don't talk about Sheehan and Deathfield. Are there any other cards you'd say have been like above curve?
What's the... I don't know if it's overperformed, but actually I think you liked this card a lot initially, so maybe it's just like on par. It's not Truce, but it's the other 0 cost ambush resource card. Is that from Covert Missions or no? That's not from Covert Missions.
Ambush?
It like you flip to a resource side.
Oh, Reap. Yeah.
Reap. Is that from Covert Missions?
Yes. Wait. No. Wait. Yes. It's from Covert Missions. Yes. When you said it, I was like, "What are you talking about? How do I get a resource for free?" No, that card's really good because I play all the stuff with 2 resource sides.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's probably overperformed a little bit, but I think everyone knew it was really good.
Yeah. I'd say Anakin's lightsaber also did its job.
Yeah, I think that definitely was. I think it's better than I thought it was for sure. But you can only really play one of it. Like I guess you can play 2, but it's awkward, right? Like
I usually play 2 because I usually play something to overwrite it with. So like I do it, and they kind of like ignore whatever guy had it, and then it flips into like a Chewbacca's blaster, and then flips back into Anakin's, and they're just like, I hate you, and I was like, hey, look, bro, I wanted to run 2 Chewies and 2 Annies and a bunch of other stuff, so like, sorry.
And a Dagger of Mortis.
Yeah. Like I'd say like pre getting nerfed, Abandoned Refinery did so much more work than you ever anticipated because it did ridiculous things with Chopper.
That was like the first card I talked about. By the way, I'd like to point that out. Joe knows. I was like, I think this card's good.
But it's more with Cloud Car and you trying to eject things. No.
Listen, I knew it was broken. All right, it says draw a card and get resources. So anything that says those 2 things is probably too good. And then we did have that. We were like, oh, with droids, and it's like, oh, that sounds good.
It's
And it was
really
so-
good.
And it was so good.
Salvage arm, use it, heave it. 3 drop on
And
my
I
other
remember,
dude.
I remember Reflex was in that podcast. Like, you would like that card, and I was like, yeah, because it's really good.
And draw a card. It's like, oh shit. But yeah, so those are the cards that have definitely done their jobs. Merchant Freighter is kind of janky, to be honest, but like most people just don't have the ramp card, so it does what it needs to do, and gets DM'd and makes you cry. Like that's normal. I think On Guard's also
normal.
doing more than it was anticipated originally. On Guard's using the Qui-Gon deck, it's using Raylo. Like people didn't try to use it originally.
I do like that card.
Yeah,
I
that's
have
all.
some good. I have some videos in the tournament prep tier feature me using that card really well.
But all right, so NJ Cuenca wants to throw out some plugs for the content creators.
All right, so first off, we have the Artificery League Season 22, I believe.
22.
Starting, I think it starts today, technically. But
It already started today. I'm already in.
All right, he's already in, baby.
There's at least 22 people. That's the count when I got in sometime earlier today.
Yeah, but it's going to be at least at least in the 30s. I'd say by the time all the stragglers, like myself, I haven't even signed up yet. So
Yeah.
I will sign up and play. If you have ever played TTS, join. It's a lot of fun. You don't have to play it. You have to play like two games a week to get your extra point.
One game.
One game a week. So easy.
Yeah.
And so easy a caveman could do it.
You got to play 8 games by the end of the month, but you want to get one per week. The weeks can end on Sundays. So for this one, the 5th is the end. The 6th is the end of the first week. As long as you get in that one game per week, you'll get a bonus point, and the bonus points are super important. Like very much so to making sure you reach top cut. Right now, we've been usually getting 50 or more people. So usually speaking, 5-3s make it in. There's usually like a 5-3 bounce out or whatnot, but everyone that goes 6-2s in. A lot of people are getting games that they kind of just didn't anticipate to be able to get. I've seen people with like upwards of 30 games per month. The first 8 are the only ones that count. Anything after that, you can play against people who haven't gotten their 8 games for like tiebreaker points. But if any of you guys are kind of just struggling to get your matches in, it's a very good place to be.
Question though, if you play 100 extra matches and win them all, do you get an extra point?
I don't know, but I don't think so. Only because
they cap at like 99. Because I think that would be fair.
We joked all the time like you should totally count it. The problem is that you can't play the same person again. So we would have to have like 101 people, and then you'd have to play all of them. The dilemma is
saw me coming.
Yeah, it would say like 14.1. It would say 14.01, I think, for one bonus point. When you got to 10, it would say 14.1. So it is I don't know. Bonus points are whatever things. They use them as a tiebreaker for a primary tiebreaker, and then they use ELO after. You don't have to really worry about most of those things, but if you're looking to get into a tournament, it's a month long. You kind of play whenever you're ready and feeling it. They have a whole queue system where you could like just say, I'm ready and I'm available, and it'll it's kind of like a unanimous pair system, so no one can kind of dodge you. You can force those people to play with you. You get to force them.
Yeah.
You want to play James, you can deal with it.
And you have the choice of playing best of one. So if you don't have a lot of time, you just once a week you get your extra bonus points. If you're a 3-0, then you can start grinding your rest of the games. If you go 3, I don't want to play anymore. It's like what, like $10?
Yeah,
$15.
$10. Yep.
And I have credit from a million years ago, so I still have that credit rolling in.
Yeah, I think I still have like $100 credit. And then there's also the Entourage Gaming tournaments that are on Thursdays. They start at I think like 8 Eastern time. But you gotta like register by like 7. So those ones run every Thursday. They're $5, and the payout goes back in full amount for that. Artificery League also has an invitational every 6 months based on how you were doing in events, and it's like the top 32 players, if not top 16, I think, depending on how the number of players they're like pooling from. But so that can be worth getting in on, and you don't have to have played the entire time. If you skipped like the first couple months, that's not an issue. You go play a couple months in, it's gonna be your like elo and stuff like that. So it's purely elo based. So you go crush like 7-1 and then 7-1. For the most part, the other ones like really don't matter as long as you have enough games to have counted. Past that, spoiler wise, they are giving out spoilers to content creators, still, actively giving back to the community. So if if you're a content creator still doing stuff, and we're not going to name you here, because I'm going to list the names of the ones I know of at least. I'd probably say get in touch with them. If not, you can try to reach out to us and we can pass it along. But Late Night Gaming, Disney Junior, or Second Place Podcast. I don't know what the actual name of their podcast is, but it's the Disney Junior group. Dice Commando, Echo Base, and then probably see like some potentially Destiny Down Under, and I Rebel. But any last thoughts before we get to the our end clip of the NJ Quintus?
Yeah, I would say I don't know if you mentioned Late Night Gaming every Friday. Eric Wainwright he does a draft. I think every Tuesday. I want to say
Wednesday, I believe.
Wednesday. Okay. And if we were wrong about any of this, please comment on any of our links or whatever. I think people probably see either our website or the Destiny group in Facebook.
Yeah.
Which is a great, if you actually, for some reason, you're not in a Facebook group, the Destiny group, that's like, I think the most active thing for Destiny. I don't know. Maybe the Reddit Destiny is more active, but it's like close. They're both pretty good.
Yeah. I'd say the Art of History Discord, if you're just kind of trying to keep in the loop of what's going on, because most of the people are posting in there.
Yep.
Most of us have gone to like Discord, or we've been on Discord for a very, very long time. But if you need some help getting into like links to get to that stuff, like let us know. I still got to set up the website stuff, work stuff, or I'm not actually working. I'm like applying and just busy and vacation. So like I just haven't got to the stuff yet. But we're gonna update that to try to make it easier to get around to these places. And yeah, I think I'm done. So I think it's time for the Nick Cuenca stand-up minutes.
I have my first joke is that Joe just said he's busy with vacation. So that's the first joke. All right, so I have jokes. I'm gonna start off with some original jokes, which is actually just like one joke I wrote down. And forgive me if I said this last week because I don't actually know if I did. I was trying to go back and see, but I cannot. I didn't have time. So, at a doctor's office, they call you a patient because you have to wait for so long. Nothing, Joe? Nothing?
No, crickets, man. Crickets.
All right. So these other ones are some of my favorite jokes. Hopefully I'll do them justice. The first one is a moth walks into a podiatrist's office. Podiatrist is a foot doctor. Moth says, "Hey, doctor, I've had a really rough time of it lately. Me and my wife aren't getting along, and I actually think that I don't love her anymore. And my son, my son Gregario he's a disappointment. I no longer love him. And I sit at night and I look at my gun. It's cocked, and I can't believe I'm such a coward that I just don't pull the trigger. Yeah, I got problems, doc." And the doctor's like, "Wow, man, that's heavy shit. Like, why that you should really go to a psychiatrist. Why are you here?" And the moth says, "Well, the light was on." All right. And the next couple of jokes are Rodney Dangerfield jokes, and I love my wife, so these jokes are not indicative of that, but they're great jokes. But I didn't think I'd be complete until I was married, but now I'm finished. Me and my wife were happy for 20 years, and then we met. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys.
Tough crowd. No
Hey,
respect.
just
no
you.
respect.
You're the tough crowd. I'm just
I know.
wondering. You don't think anything's funny?
No, I just don't. The really dry jokes like that just kind of don't do it for me. Like Rodney Dangerfield, like was already a struggle. As soon as you went into that, I was like, oh no, this man's doomed. Because like I could watch Rodney Dangerfield and be like, whatever. Like sometimes the way he said the stuff would kind of like it would get you, but the joke itself was never like amazing.
Well, no, I mean the workmanships of I think the workmanship of those jokes they're pretty spot on, but they're like very old timey, and like Rodney's delivery is what makes those jokes good. Like, if you try to like do like Mitch Hedberg jokes, like it's hard to do those jokes because they're wordplay and like your consonants is just like really important for how you deliver these jokes. So and that's all I got. That's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed my the jokes. I will try to get a hat for that joke for those jokes as well. I don't know if I have a hat. I got this Yoda mask in the background. Maybe I'll wear that next time. It'll be funnier.
It would be. The Yoda thing looks really weird, but the problem is it's a tough crowd. No respect. No respect.
So I have the Yoda mask here. It's pretty great.
Oh shit, it opens. I definitely find more enjoyment from the freaking Yoda mask than anything you've said.
I mean, the Yoda mask is OP. It's just like you bring it out to a party and everyone just loves it. So.
Well, it's the fact that you're like, okay, Yoda mask, but then it like opens and there's noise. I was like, oh, it opened. Why did it open? Oh my god, the ears are moving. Holy shit!
Yeah.
But this is the Hyperloops 2020 podcast. We'll come back at you hopefully in another like 3 weeks or so. But thanks for watching. I'm Monty Sarcastic. This is NJ Cuenca, and you guys have a good one. Deuces.
Peace. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe to show your support. If you want to become a patron, check out our Patreon. The link will be in the description. Thanks again.